You know what time it is. It's your favorite social media coach, Melle Howard. Coach Melle in the building with your favorite cool uncle, Uncle Flood, and they're going to take you inside the game. So sit down, relax, get your favorite beverage, and hang as they take you across the SWAT, especially in Southern University football and professional sports as they talk Monday Night Football here on Inside the Game. All right, let's get into it.
What up?
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? It's championship week. Championship week.
Yes, it is. We have made it. I was just enjoying the vibes of the song because it just felt so good to talk about that old Southern spirit. It is alive and well. So much to talk about today in such a short period of time. So welcome to Inside the Game. I am Coach Melle. That's my boy, Uncle Flood.
What's happening?
I'm giving you the first words today. Tell me how you're feeling. Just tell me how you're feeling.
I'm feeling good about winning the Bayou Classic. You know, I kind of have kept it for an extra day. Normally by Sunday, I flush all of that out and I'm on to the next week, but I kind of kept it around so we can have some discussion about it and talk about the Bayou Classic as we recap. By the way, my man Quincy Richard from Southern University quarterback is going to join us on this show. Chop it up a little bit about the Bayou Classic and just what's coming up and his view on the Bayou Classic. But I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm optimistic. I'm looking forward to this weekend. And, I'm on from Make Grambling Great Again to FTP. So,
Yeah,
it is.
It is. I'm the same way. I think the week is already going by fast. Like I woke up, looked up today, and it was like already 5 o'clock. I'm like, man, this is kind of scary here, but also optimistic about the weekend. Lots to recap about the Bayou Classic, and then obviously we have another game to play. Championship Saturday is upon us. But before we do that, there was some breaking news early on in the day in the SWAC. Coach Maynor from Alabama A&M is no longer. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that Alabama A&M went ahead and made the move, even with a year left on his contract. I think for them, it's a force play. They had to make the move. Nothing was positive was going to come out of them keeping him for another year. I think he had pretty much run his course. I'm interested to see how the student athletes react if they all jump in the portal. I hope not, but I'm also interested in some of the names that I've heard that to replace him. Obviously, the lead candidate, Sam Shade, Alabama guy who coaches at Miles, led Miles to that first playoff victory. I'm interested to see because I know a lot of people are really behind Sam Shade. He's a former University of Alabama star. He's made his way in coaching. He has some Alabama guys on the staff with him, and they seem to be doing a good job. Seems like a no-brainer and an easy move to make to go and hire him. I'm not sure that's what A&M is going to do, but that seems like he would be the lead candidate for that job.
Yeah, they've done some great things over there with their program at Miles. So I would think, from fan support to everything, it seems like a good, to your point, a good move. There's also been some other names circling in the conference, and so really interested to see what Alabama A&M does. But it's the Bulldogs, y'all been asking for it, so it's here. I just think about a few years ago when we were getting ready to hire a coach, and that name was rumbling across the streams and the boards of like, oh my God, we need to bring right now. I'm just like, wait, where's this coming from? So now we see that course has run its time.
Other coaching moves too. So yeah.
It happens. I think were we on air last week when Purview? No, we hadn't. We missed.
No.
We talk about Purview's coach. So thoughts on Purview also going in a different direction?
Purview going in a different direction. I've heard the name KJ Black coming up. KJ Black is a former Purview quarterback who is now an NFL assistant. Did you kill it?
my boom light went out.
Yeah, but KJ Black was an NFL assistant, former Purview quarterback. I don't know if he's interested in the job, but that seems like that would be a name that would be running around in Purview circles or being bantered around. I've also heard that Purview may stay inside the state with a D2 coach or they may go to an assistant at from one of the larger schools who's a more experienced coach. I don't know which way they'll go, but I kind of heard that they're going to go outside of the conference to make their hire. So I'm waiting to see. I don't think we see any coaches who have been in the conference necessarily as head coaches get either of those jobs. I think they're going to go outside of the norms and make some hires outside of the box.
I love that you're speaking with your what do you call it, your head, your heart conversation, because swag will swag, and I just know that there will be a recycled coach being hired somewhere.
Yeah,
in my opinion, I think at least one.
Well, I look at the two jobs that have come open, and neither one of them are conducive to hiring recycle swag coaches. I hate to call them recycle, but swag experienced coaches. Because if you look at A&M, they've never really hired a guy who was a swag guy. They've always kind of gone outside of the conference. Now, they may change. I'll tell you something. Sam Shade is a guy that I'm sure that they're going to look at, and that I know that would be a great hire. But for A&M, that's the one job that has come open to me that I could see them hiring a guy like Fred McNair, and Fred McNair being successful there. Not saying that he's a candidate for the job, but but I could see that. But they traditionally, A&M has been a program that hadn't gone and hired coaches from inside the conference or whoever had conference experience before. I don't think Prairie View goes that route. I mean, if you really think about it, Prairie View, they really kind of have gone outside. Other than Coach Dooley, they've kind of been outside of the box themselves on making hires, and I think they stay outside. And who knows? Another thing that happened while we were away, Coach Dawson Odom, Southern's former coach,
Yep.
now the former coach at Norfolk State, was let go. It's going to be interesting to see if somebody's interested in picking him up. I think he probably lands on somebody's staff as an assistant, maybe at a larger D1 program, or maybe as a coordinator at a smaller program. I think he lands an assistant's job somewhere. I don't know if he gets an opportunity right now to be a head coach.
Yeah, that's interesting. There was a lot of conversation about what was the future for Coach Odom. And listen, I mean, yeah, people have their thoughts about Coach Odom as a coach, what he was able to do at Southern, what he did at Norfolk. I think the guy's a stand-up guy. I think that he, we at Southern, we had one barrier that stopped him from being a legendary coach, and had that barrier not existed, he would probably still be at Southern. But yeah, so I hope all of them land on their feet at some point. But it's going to be interesting to see what direction the SWAC goes in Norfolk goes in as it relates to these coaching hires. But
yeah, and I also understand North Carolina A&T has let their coach go, which
listen, North Carolina A&T will not be right until they come back to Black college football. They haven't seen any success once they left Black college football.
They were terrible this year. They were absolutely terrible. And to see the twists and turns that the people who are fans and who cover A&T go through to try to make that thing look good, they were terrible. And I can understand why they got rid of why they let that coach go, and they probably shouldn't have let Sam go in the first place, Sam Washington.
Yep.
But they did. But A&T could be a good job, so that's going to be interesting to see what goes on there.
Yeah, I think of the available jobs, when you think about like the Black college football, I think A&T is probably the best job. When you think about resources, when you think about like the opportunities of where the program could go, I think that's probably one of the best available jobs out there. But with any there are some games where there are some coaches that are still in play. So we are going to kick the show off right with it. We had a Great Bayou Classic last week. So, Unc, do you have a game ball that you're giving out today?
I give it out to the Jaguar, to the Dog Day defense. I'm gonna give out 2 game balls. I'm gonna give out 1 game ball to the Jaguar defense because they stood tall. And I'm going to give a game ball out to Estruma and Madison Prep. Hell of a ball game, 14-6. Madison Prep won that game for the opportunity to go to the semifinals It was great to see a Struma back in the mix. It was a great football game. Couple of calls here and there, but that's who I'm giving my game balls to the Jaguars, to the Dog Day defense, and to a Struma and Madison Prep for that heck of a football game that they played in the quarterfinals in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about high school football. Shout out to Southern Lab. We gave it. You listen. Every dog has its day, or in this case, every Jaguar kid has its day. But shout out to Kenwood for phenomenal performance on last week as it relates to advancing to the next round. They wanted it. They were hungry from the start. I think they may have scored on every offensive possession. Like they were clearly had a vengeance against us, and I can see why, because we've had that number for quite some time. It was cold under the water tower, and they showed up and showed out, and it was a great experience. Although left the Bayou Classic to go see that game in person, and probably should have just stayed at the Hyatt. But for a great season. My game ball is going to who we call my nephew, Chandler Whitfield. I think we have a clip from the Bayou Classic for Chandler. I think we have a clip.
Recording artist, Louisiana's own, Lil Boosie! Let's go, stand up! We'll make good thing! We'll Louisiana, let's go! Let's go! DOOSIEPADACT, that's me! Red bone can dance all on Thursday. I don't know, I'm trying to steal my underwear. I like to call that Rick Ross, gotta get my set it off when I'm singing, everybody set it off.
That is not the clip.
That is not the clip, but
That is not the clip of Chandler. That is actually supposed to be for our band special. But Chandler Whitfield from Southern is the MVP of the Bayou Classic. That is someone we call our nephew. Shout out to Chandler for an amazing performance in the Bayou Classic, as well as just coming back from injury this season and really being a difference maker on the field for Southern. And he has really got our offense to roll in these last few weeks. So shout out to Chandler. Looking forward to an amazing performance this weekend. So that is my game ball of the week, Chandler Whitfield, Southern University, former product of Zachary High School. As always, Unc, our game balls are presented by whom?
By the Southern University Office of Enrollment Management at Southern University, SUS.org. You can call if you want to register, if you want to find out about what it takes to enroll in Southern University. It's the Southern University Office of Enrollment Management.
All right, and I see our special guest has made his way to the studio. So, Unc, why don't you introduce the people to the amazing, legendary
That's right.
we have today coming on the show.
If you are a follower of Jaguar football for any time period, you know this gentleman as the legendary quarterback, the thrilling Bayou Classic victory of 2003, SWAC champion quarterback, now community leader and extraordinaire Esquire, Quincy Richard. Welcome to Inside the Game. Q, what's happening, man?
Hey.
We got you. Yeah, we go. We got it now. There you go. What's happening, Quincy?
I can't call it. How y'all doing today, man? It's crazy every time somebody say legendary. It's like, damn, I'm old.
Well, that's better than actually being called old.
Better than a posthumous award or something like that, huh?
Exactly.
After everything over, they just scroll your name at the bottom.
That's right. Just roll your name in memorandum.
Like every day on top of the dirt is a good one.
That's right. That's right. Like they say, if you think today a bad day, try missing one.
It is. There it is.
Man, it's crazy, but I heard y'all talking about the class. It was pretty dope for Coach Graves, man. That's my guy. I don't know if y'all realize, but that's how he even ended up at Southern.
Really? Tell us the backstory.
Tell us the story, Chris.
I didn't really play football till 11th and 12th grade, and so when Coach Graves started recruiting, that's when Opelousas had this huge pipeline to Southern. Seemed like he would come, and we probably contributed to some of his weight because we would feed him. He would come to basketball games. He would come to everything to recruiters because we played everything. and he was just so down to earth and just I don't even call him Coach Gray. Like from day one till now, I still call him Smooth because he just is
Yeah.
always so charismatic. And you talking about kids leaving Opelousas, like we thought Opelousas was the world, and so we needed to feel secure in coming. And he would come. I mean, literally, basketball, baseball games, and you name it. And he just stayed in touch. And he was just he felt like one of those country people. So it was like you was going to a place that where you felt um like home.
Yeah.
And and so when I went on a recruiting trip, uh, Coach Rich seemed like somebody from the country too because he was straight up with you. He was like, "Look, I ain't promising you nothing but an opportunity to play." He's like, "That's it. If you play, that means you earned it. If you don't, sorry for you."
Yeah.
And so both of them guys, they their honesty and genuineness really sold us, a lot of us, because I think it was 3 or 4 with me from Opelousas that year that went to Southern, and that's what did it. Just
Wow.
that family feeling. And then so even when he left, Coach Graves, when he left, came back, we always stayed in touch. Hell, every time I see him, I ask about his daughter because she
Yeah.
was such a baby when we was there. So it's really um family.
Yeah.
It's bigger than football. I mean, he could have lost no, he couldn't have lost the classic. I lied. But he still would have been my guy because
Yeah.
he has never steered me wrong. Even and so everybody else see the finished product on the field, but what they don't see is the practice that week, and it's not even athletic abilities. I mean, we were kids at that time, and so we were going through kid problems, and those guys um guide you through all your problems that you are as a kid to make those get out the way so you can at least perform decent on the field Saturday to give yourself the best shot. And that's what I loved about all of those dudes, and that's what people I don't think give them enough credit for because just think on a regular daily basis what you go through.
Yes.
And so just imagine at I went at 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, those ages, and Jaguar fans are die hard. So they will let you know when you're not doing what they need you to do.
Yeah. They'll say some real crazy stuff to you.
Oh
we,
my God.
we've talked about some of the so in that same vein, Quincy, if you could just kind of talk to us, you've been following the team this year and you've seen like the quarterback carousel that we've been on. We've played 3 quarterbacks this season. What have you noticed about the evolution of the team and the quarterback play specifically?
Um, I learned a lot about them three as probably people more than football players because you got to think they always say be prepared because at any moment you're gonna get in the game. But I mean, we all say that, but you don't know when it's gonna happen, so you just got to run with it. And I think each of them had an asset that maybe another one maybe didn't have as much of. And but one thing I did notice is when I went to practice, and I mean, every year I'll go to a practice, not a game, because nobody want to hear my mouth during the game. But I'll go to a practice and sit down with quarterbacks, and we don't even really talk about football. Just I know how it is. But when I went in the room, you would think that those dudes were envious or spiteful of each other when they was in competition. When it was quite the contrary. They're good men, and so they weren't willing to help. Even that last game for senior night, um, I went up to T set and I was like, "Who's starting?" He told me. He said at halftime, he said, "Dude is doing real well. Like he's doing real well today." And he just kept telling me, and I was just telling him, "Yeah, he's doing like they're happy." And I
Yeah.
think what the coaches have done a good job is trying to morph the system around each one of their strengths and weaknesses
Hmm.
because what T-Set can do, um, Noah probably couldn't do, and then vice versa. But they were able to work to their strengths, and it looked rocky at times. But you got to remember, that's kids. Some of them playing their first time in front of more people than some of the cities they grew up from,
Yeah.
and so they
Yeah.
just had to get used to it and the speed of it. And I think they're doing a great job, all three. Uh, and I think it'll be interesting next year to see who really emerges as that constant starter. But the good part about us as Jaguar fans, we know we got in the two behind. So If one does go down or one stumbles, we don't have to take a deep breath. It's like we know the other kid can play. Put
Yeah.
him in, and they all
Yeah.
taking their lessons not in practice. They're taking it live rounds, which is the best training. So it looks awkward as a football fan. I get it,
Yes.
but at any point in time, the old saying, you got to roll with the hot hand, and that's what they've been doing. And I really do commend those young men because they really are huge supporters of each other, which
Yeah.
is a big thing on and off the field.
That's a beautiful thing. And Quincy, I look at those guys, and like you said, they are big supporters of each other. But I wonder, like, for a guy like you who comes in and gives them advice, how do you avoid the when I was playing syndrome? Because I noticed that a lot. I deal with a lot of alumni, a lot of old players. How do you avoid that syndrome? Well, when I was playing, we did this and we did that, in talking to them and communicating to them.
It's actually easier than you think because when I was playing, I couldn't stand the when I was playing. Somebody come talk to me, and it would be somebody played 60s and 70s when the game has evolved differently over that time. So
Yes.
it's no way to compare me with you because the offenses were the same. If you probably were better, and they really meant well in helping me, but I didn't want to hear that in the moment.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and so what I did is I made it a point after I was done to, if I'm not around Southern or the games as much, that is the reason because I want them to have their light. I don't want, because every time they mess up, I don't want nobody, the camera panning to me and saying, look at Quincy, what he did. No, I had my time.
Yeah.
And so I try to stay away. And really, when I talk to them, it's nothing. It's not even anything about football. Because they're different than me. I'm different than them. They might be better than me. I just maybe had a supporting cast better than them. You never know. And at the same time, they live, eat, sleep, drink football 24/7. And you don't have to tell somebody when they mess up.
Yeah.
They already
Yeah.
know.
They know.
And so, but it's what comes along with the mental process of messing up, correcting it, and then moving forward and forgetting that last throw or just helping them through that and just life, just navigating being a quarterback on big HBCU campus because it's a lot of extra stuff that you deal with that people don't see. And I just want to make sure that they are prepared for that because I don't want something to happen crazy that interrupts their athletic ability just because it was something unexpected, especially with social media now. So we don't even talk about football. I just ask them what's going on in life. But I mean, the typical questions that you want to be more of a big brother role
Yeah.
as opposed to um reliving my Al Bundy poke high days or something like that,
Yeah.
Um, and because like I said, I didn't like it. It's not that I didn't respect those guys who were telling me. It's just in that moment,
That's
I'm
not what you
glad you
wanted
did
to
what you
hear.
did,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but give me my space to do what I do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think
And
that's a great thing. I think about any career, anything. People are like, well, back when I was a teacher, back when I was like, it's 30 years ago. Like we don't want to hear that like constantly.
yeah,
But
and it's hard to compare. And
yeah,
at the same time, everything is so different, and it's kind of like the barbershop. Michael Jordan or LeBron. I don't know. It's like the centers was 6'5" when Mike played, and LeBron it's no comparison. But I don't want to get it misconstrued. They all meant real well when they're telling me that.
yeah,
Yeah.
But in that
Yeah.
moment,
That's not, especially when you're at that age. The last thing you want to hear is somebody you perceive as some old dude telling you about back in my day. Yeah.
oh, this how we did it, and
Yeah.
if this would have happened, we would have did this. When it's like you don't know that it didn't happen when you played, bro. Like we at the end of the day, your chapter is closed.
uh-oh.
Exactly. Oh, we lost Quincy. He'll get back on. I'm the old dude hater. The old dudes hate me because I'm they hate me because I'm the one that's like I was like, no, you didn't. I was there.
Right. I mean, and it's some, I remember when I ran for school board, like it was a lot of people like, oh yeah, because when I was on the board, I'm like, bro, when you was on the board, there was 2 schools, like there wasn't even like 1 bus, like people, like it's just like I understand the wisdom, but like it should not be. It has to be a both end and not an either or. Like there's no one way to do a thing just because you did something before, just because you got
Yes,
experience.
yes.
So
There are some things that are just basic knowledge that you can impart, and just some wisdom as you gain age and maturity. But then there's some things that just don't apply.
yeah,
It just they just don't apply as times have changed. And I think as an older person, and me who's moving into middle age and little past middle age now, I try to be aware of those things that, hey, things are not the same. Although there are some basics that we can impart, and I try not to give advice when I'm not asked.
yeah. And then that's a hard thing for all of us to do. Like it's very hard for us to give unsolicited advice, as I would like to say.
Exactly. Let's see if we got Quincy back on. Can you hear us, Chris?
Um,
Oh yeah, we
There
can
we
hear
go.
you. Yep.
There we go. We got you.
and I know I'm the guest or
Nah,
whatever you
brother.
want to call it on the show, but at the same time, I do want to take this time to make sure the emphasis is on the main. Oh, Coach Rich and Zeus. You remember Zeus back in the
Yeah,
day?
Thomas Hall.
It was the craziest phrase, but it holds true today. Making the main thing, and I want, if anything, Jaguar Nation to really appreciate the job that these kids, these coaches, the staff, all that has done this year because was it like I said, it was rocky, yes. But we playing Saturday.
That's right. It was ugly but effective. It's been ugly but effective. I'm gonna tell you, Quincy. Do you kind of have the feeling that this team is gonna put it together? Like it's like maybe I'm not saying this game, but you kind of have the expectation that all of this is leading up to something special.
And we playing Saturday. Like
Exactly.
I want to make sure people understand that. Like
Exactly.
this is not the consolation prize. This is, and as important as the Bayou Classic is, I mean,
It didn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things.
it's only 2 teams can win the Bayou Classic every year.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure everybody put in perspective that these are exceptional job that everybody doing, and everybody started the year with the same goal. There's only 2 coming in Saturday,
Yeah.
and so I really, if anything, would love to make sure that everybody. You can gripe. I mean, everybody work hard for their money to pay tickets, and that's the privilege you get when buying a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, those kids worked hard this summer. Those coaches worked hard this summer, and on top of that, they didn't have much time to work together either.
No.
And so to bring all the moving parts that goes just along with football, period, together to put it together to play at the highest level in your conference, which is everybody want to be the top dog. That's a commendable thing. And I don't care if we got through the back door, the side door, the front door, the chimney. We have reservations for Saturday. And
Yes.
as we used to tell other people when we would go to the championship, everybody else got their uniform on mothballs right now.
Yes. Yeah. Everybody else's
They're looking
uniform is
forward to
in
the spring.
storage.
Like,
No, and I think that's been my biggest thing. We talked about this on the whole season. Like it's not been pretty many times, but they found a way. And to Quincy's point, we're playing on Saturday. And to that point, Quincy, I would love to know from your perspective, like when you're playing against a heated rival, coming off an emotional Bayou Classic, no matter the records, it's always that. How do you mentally get yourself together and ready for what's to come on Saturday?
let me see. This is the crazy part. I griped about being called legendary, but the reality of it is, I am old because I don't. The volume is messing up. So if y'all give me 1 second, I gotta call my tech guy, my kid, to come in and fix the sound for me right quick. Um, Give me 1 second,
All right.
and
Well,
he's
take
gonna
your
love to do
time.
it because he feels important.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. By the way, I don't know. Maybe you can't hear us. We can hear you fine. But yeah, in dealing in looking at the Bayou Classic, and it seems like every year when you look at the Classic or you go to the Classic, you always have those memories that come back to you about your favorite classic or your favorite memory of the classic. And I have yet to have an experience where somebody's talked about one of their favorite memories of the classic and Quincy and the 2003 Bayou Classic doesn't come up.
Yeah, that was
I,
a legendary classic.
Yes, it was. The shootout with he and Bruce Eugene, and I think Quincy threw for 522 yards. Bruce threw for 500 or 400 and something yards. Quincy threw 5 touchdowns. Bruce threw 5 or 6. I mean, it was just a shootout back and forth in that game, man. And I think that's probably the most memorable. I think that may be the best Bayou Classic in terms of both sides.
Yeah,
I know for Southern, a lot of people in Southern would say it was between the 50-26 Classic in '82 when Southern beat Grambling, the unexpected blowout, a '79 Classic when Southern won, and Southern, won, came back and won that first Bayou Classic after losing so many times straight, or the '99 Bayou Classic, like somebody came up and said, where Southern was down 31-10 at halftime and fought all the way back to win. It's been so many of those, so many opportunities, but in terms of both sides just playing the game to the fullest and leaving it all on the field, I felt like the 2003 Bayou Classic was probably the best.
yeah. So '99, that was my favorite. I will never forget as a 10-year-old kid with like that 31-10 coming back. Everybody in our section had given up on our team. I was like, y'all, we gonna do this. And it happened. That I still remember what I wore to that Bayou Classic. And then my second favorite all time is, to your point, 2003. It's like that probably was one of the most competitive, like for fans, offense is what we like to see. So back and forth, continuous, heartbreak for some. I'll never forget the image of Bruce Eugene, who gave it his all on the field, and then
Yes,
the tears that came out afterwards, because I mean he literally gave it his all on the field. And we went on to win a championship that year, in 2003.
that's
Um,
right.
but yeah, so I mean, I'm looking forward to it. The classic was great. I think I mean, to the point of like just what Quincy talked about earlier, the players like being sound people for such young kids, where everything and all outside noise around you is like making you constantly be at competition with each other. For them to be able to keep that together, and like whoever's out there get the support, that's, I think, to me, that's also been my favorite part. Is to be able to see them like be brothers, literally brothers,
Yes.
and keep it together throughout all of that.
And you could tell this team has a special camaraderie just by the way that they fight for each other.
Yeah,
Because this team could have quit earlier in the year. Fans were down on them. They was going through some struggles. They could have quit. So this team obviously has a special kind of brotherhood and character about them, and you see that from the quarterback room all the way through the
that's right.
defense.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to, because one thing about football, as opposed to any other sport, basketball, you can get somebody that can go one on one and get you 20, 25, 30. Other sport, football, the tackle has to move in sync with the guard has to move in sync with the center, the quarterback. So, and only way you can have that happen is if you understand each other, you spend so much time with each other, you trust them, because they got to do their job to make yours look better.
Yeah,
And they really, the, the biggest thing about it, as I'm getting old, is to see these kids really just having fun.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
it's the business of college sports has come a long way also,
Hmm.
and with social media, to where it's important for me to see these kids actually enjoying still what they do, that they came up doing, that they're reaching their goals, and that we get to witness their journey to
yeah,
literally be 17, 18-year-old kids. By the time they leave, they are men and we all share a part in their growth. And that's how, when you play, everybody knows you, whether they do or they don't, and you feel like everybody has your back because they literally watch you grow. Like
Yes.
they know your mood swings. They know when Quincy throw an interception. Like somebody got to talk to him to talk him down off the ledge. And so it works in concert, and not only with the team, but just the fans too.
Yes.
Because I mean, I say all that about griping and all that, but we have the best supportive fans too.
Yes.
Um, like they'll get you when you down when you mess up, but they're not gonna kick you when you're down,
Yeah.
which is really important when you're going through the things that 18, 19, 20-year-old kids go through, because they've been great all their lives, which got them to that point. And sometimes you can create a little doubt in yourself that no athletes usually don't have, because we all got some form of arrogance. Um, but when it happens to you, it's new.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
that's my first time failing. Like,
Failing. Yeah.
now what I do, and so that's why I say I give so much credit to Coach Graves' staff, the Jaguar Nation, because like I said, they will let you know, but they will never, under any circumstances, kick you when you're down. And it's a family atmosphere that anybody who's on a recruiting visit, they can feel that energy and support. And whether you're playing good or not, whether you sports or not, the feel of support will carry over a lot of hills and trials and tribulations. And I like to see those kids enjoying the game. Like when the guy, I forget his name because I'm just horrible with names, but the one who made ESPN,
Oh,
Miles.
Willie
Little,
Miles. Yeah.
little
Willie
Miles.
Miles. I watched that clip about 20 times myself.
Yes. Yes. It
Be,
was enjoyable. It made me feel good. I was happy for him.
oh my, it was. I'm gonna tell you how everybody watched that clip, and I was actually at the game, but I watched the clip and it was like, oh yeah, yeah, oh, because we thought he got. Wait, he didn't get tackled. Yeah, it was like it was cool, and he made the touchdown, but I wish the camera would have caught the sideline
Yeah.
to
Insane.
see
Yeah.
how people who hadn't broke a sweat since the uh the stretching before the game. But when that kid scored, they were into the game and celebrating his accomplishment.
Yeah.
And I mean, all I can speak for is me going to Southern, but I don't know if every school has that. But if they don't, shame on them because we got it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And there was a clip. WFB had a clip of the bench and how happy they were, how they were celebrating him. And like you said, that lets you know, like I said, about the uniqueness of the camaraderie on this team, and the reason that they're able to win 3 overtime games and hang around in games and find ways to win and just make plays over and over again, because they do have that kind of brotherhood, that uniqueness that not a lot of teams have, because the truth is, this is a talented team, but it's not an overly talented team. They have some talent at good positions, but they play well together and they depend on each other to make plays.
Yeah. We have a question for you in the chat. If you can
I,
read it.
I see it's a loaded question.
The question for people who can't see it is, what's Quincy's opinion on pulling quarterbacks during the game? When does he believe it should be done versus leaving the quarterback in the game? Good question. Have at
And here's the lawyer and me about to duck that question.
it.
Uh, if you pull a mid quarter and they come in and play lights out and you win, great decision. If you lose, what the hell were you thinking?
Terrible decision.
So it's like and sometimes and I keep harping on this, but sometimes they spend so much time with them kids. Sometimes it has a lot to do with some more than just the stats. Sometimes when you pull a kid, you can look at body languages and all and see he's
Mhm.
down, and that's stuff that none of us on the call would see, that they, because they spend so much time with each other, that they may pick in, that they may be picking up and actually benching the kid for that. And some, or Betty, I'll just speak on myself. sometimes I needed a couple plays to sit down and regroup and gather myself, and then come back and then be able to learn from my mistakes. But it's not a bad thing to pull a quarterback in the middle of a quarter, because I mean the coach's job is to win.
Yeah.
And so he's not putting. I can't. I won't criticize them for doing that, because they want to win and they feel that that kid is the best person at that moment
Yeah.
to put him in. Does it work out all the time? No.
No. But Quincy,
Um,
you have a unique perspective because your junior year, you got injured. You were the starting quarterback. You got injured. You went through some quarterback trials and tribulations. So, matter of fact, your whole career at Southern,
was
at one point
interesting.
you were, it was interesting because at one point you were a receiver, you were a tight end, and then you were a safety at
I
one
was.
point.
And I know everybody remembers, but I played 3 plays in the classic. Had never touched the field. Wouldn't even going come close to touching the field my freshman year.
Yes.
Um, and I burned that year. But when I say you always got to be ready, I'm kind of a hypocrite in that matter, because when Coach Rich called my name, I had to look for my helmet. Like
We had to
I
have
would,
initiative.
yeah. I'm like, and I don't even know if I had my helmet on. Um, but then the next year you go through sitting your red shirt year, and that's why I say, and I keep arguing, it's just the mental status for a lot of kids, that people need to realize too, that the world gets to see their successes and their failures,
Yeah.
Yes.
and you can't hide from them, because numbers don't lie. And so then, and it's football, so you finally think you're prepared and ready to play, i.e., me with my junior year, and you do extra, and then something fluke happens,
Yeah.
and you get hurt, and it was like an ankle sprain, which that's probably worse than a broken leg, because ankle sprains linger on for more
High ankle
than.
sprain at that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that creates a whole nother hurdle for you, because once again it's like, man, when is it gonna heal?
Yeah.
And so to try to keep yourself grounded, motivated, whatever, when it's your first time really doing that, and to that's when that brotherhood, that coach that saw you as a kid, that know what to tell you, the fans that become surrogate parents to you,
Hmm.
come in. And so after a while, as you grow older, like anything, you realize that it's bigger than you, and you probably work hard for yourself, but probably also as a thank you to everybody else who bought into you, and
Yeah.
and didn't give up on you, because it was easy to give up on me. I can't say I wouldn't have gave up on me at
Let me
times.
ask you, Quincy.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on and talk about the championship game, now, how big of an impact was Coach David Oliver on you? You talk about coaches, and
Oh, Super
because
Dave, man.
yeah, because before that, you weren't a quarterback. You didn't necessarily have the support.
Mark
But talk
Orlando,
about that a little bit.
Coach Orlando. I, if anybody plays golf, I go out there. I don't play golf. Like I don't think what you call what I'm doing playing.
Yeah.
But but when you, like, it's like anything between the ears, and so at times, just like a golf swing, you have a gift. You may have your throwing might be off a little bit, and you just spiral yourself down in a hole, and then you're in your head. And so one day, Coach Orlando just said, "Hey, bro, just go to receiver." Okay. And
Yeah.
so I went. I mean, I'm big, I can run, all that. Did I was happy to be out there, and then it was crazy, because I want to say the week he sent me to receiver, a couple people got hurt, and I ended up having to play Saturday. And all I know, I mean, I knew routes. I couldn't run them too well, but I knew them. And so it's just your fortunes change so quick with sports. And but when you ask me about Coach Oliver, like, I I don't know if I've ever called him Coach Oliver. We call him Super Dave,
Okay.
because he was a genius at, best example. J, it was Lionel, Chris Davis, um, Drayton Bridges, and God, I'm missing one. Who the hell am I missing?
Alfred Ard.
Double A will kill me. I just talked to him today. But anyway, I'm sorry, Double A. But anyway, those were your starters. And so you had a James Vernon that came in that was just as good as those, but he was young, but not better than those. But at the same time, you couldn't deny his talent, and he needed to be on the field. So what Super Dave would do is line him up as a running back, motion him out. So he lined up on a linebacker, and nobody's gonna keep up with him. And so you get a couple of touchdowns that way. He was great at in-game decisions, and what he also did for us is taught us football actually.
Yeah.
And why I say that is because in high school, unless you play for a big time high school program, if you don't play for one of those, you got maybe 5 or 6 athletes or whatever you want to call them, dogs, whatever, on the team, and you don't really learn from a quarterback perspective. For me, I'm gonna say for me, you don't really learn reads and keys and all that too much. It's like that dude is all state. Your dude can't stop him. Throw the ball,
We're gonna
and
give
that's
him the ball.
give him the ball. Like, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
And so when you transition to college sports, everybody's that way, and you can't just go in and throw a pop fly. I never forget the first time I got in college and they do the whiteboard and the X's, and I knew every play. But then we get on the board, on the field, that X moved. Now what? Now what? It was like,
Yeah.
and so it sped up. And so what he did was he literally, for me, I had to go to quarterback meetings and defensive meetings, like every other day or every day, because, and that's how Smooth came along with me as I grew too, because he's like, the only way to understand where to throw the ball is to understand where people going or where they're supposed to be, and he had all of us, the receivers and all, and so if I didn't pick up a blitz, or no, pre-snap, the receivers knew where the protection was sliding, who was hot, who was not. And so you'll see on the film sometimes they just doing this, and it's like, okay, nah, I got it, and I get the credit for spotting it, but I didn't spot it.
Yeah.
And so that's what he taught us, how to do that and read and go through progression. So everything that happened was the result of something and not an accident or a guessing game. And if it was a guessing game, that's usually when you heard the crowd do, oh, and I had to get my head on the swivel because somebody was about to knock me off because I threw an interception. And so he did that for us a lot. And so that is when people ask what was different about us that last year. That, I think, that was what people didn't realize, is that we actually grew up and learned concepts of football
Yeah.
and what to look for. And he was good at adapting on the fly, but we also knew what to look for. So we were able to adapt and play off of instincts as opposed to just doing something and hoping it works. And so I give Super Dave all the credit. That's why he's still out here coaching at Santa Mar, putting up points with kids that aren't as talented as some other teams, but he can out scheme you and put up some points.
Yes.
And he was just that for us. And he was also the biggest icebreaker, move breaker, just whatever. He was a big silly dude, and we loved it. We loved it because as many times I would throw an interception and I would be kicking myself or whatever and walking to the sideline, and you would just hear Dave on the phone for you. And so I would walk to the sideline. I had to answer the phone. And when I would answer, he would be on another line, and I'd be like, I know, Dave, I made a bad read, and I can't say the words he would say, but you know what I'm like. He's like, hell on that, man. Look at that chick in the front row in the stands, bro. And so a lot of times I'm thinking about the interception I threw, but he knew us to where when he would say that, I would look up, but then I'd be like, that's what you called me on the phone for? But he really was trying to get me back in my mindset like, yeah, you gonna and he used to always tell me, they keep interceptions as stats. You're not the only first person to throw one. Like that's
Yeah.
a real stat.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't think it's the last and it's not the last one you're gonna throw. But he would do that for all of us. Like it was never too serious. Now in practice it was different sometimes, but in the game he always knew how to make us laugh and get us resettled. And he knew all the coaches actually knew all of us to where they could say that one thing or do that one thing that would force us to forget the bad and focus back on the good, because in that moment, if you can make somebody laugh, then yeah, I threw that interception. I'll hear about it in a little bit, especially from my dad as soon as the game is over.
Yeah.
But in that moment, to be able to reset a kid like that, that's a special skill and a talent that a lot of coaches, um, some lack, some have, and the great ones do.
Yeah.
So
And
Go
speaking
ahead.
of their
Go ahead, Charles.
that resetting ability, so last time we saw Jackson State, it wasn't a good outing, but we see them again in the SWAC championship this Saturday. What are your keys to the victory as we think about getting the championship won on Saturday?
I think, like in any sport, but more so in football, even though they're number one, we come in with an edge because it's hard to beat somebody twice. It's really hard to beat somebody twice. And at this point in time in the year, um, there's no more film to watch that nobody can get. So you know everybody's strengths, weaknesses, tendencies. And so it really comes down to just the execution of what you already know. And so I think with us, that's the beauty of the Bayou Classic, or the gift and the curse sometimes of the Bayou Classic. While Jackson State is home, trying to simulate that game speed, that game contact, that game environment. We on Saturday in New Orleans and playing, and it's the best practice we could get. Well, if we win, and so you move in to Saturday, not having to restart anything. You just another game week for you. It's just a bigger prize at the end. And so I think with Saturday coming, there's more film that we have and more time that uh I'm embarrassed. I was Gump was my fullback. So I
Yeah.
still call him Gump.
Go up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was about to say I said it, but Coach Frederick, that's a lot more film that he can get better on his own too. To see what works for this dude with and it's possible to put all three, and they're not going to be prepared for all three. But he has film and knows their strengths and weaknesses to where I think that's going to really be at a huge disadvantage to Jackson State, because the last kid played 2 games. And so, unlike every team, they don't have to prepare for 2 games. They got to prepare for the length of the season and which quarterback, all of them, and have 3 or 4 different game plans to combat that game plan, because you never know who's going to play on our end, and everyone is ready to play.
Yeah.
And so I think it makes it real hard for Jackson because they can't just say um, T-Set's a left-hander. So when he rolls, he's rolling left. True. We got 2 right-handers too. So now you got it's hard to game plan for all of that. And so that's where I think the question was asked. I think that's where coming playing all those quarterbacks and getting experience um actually helps and hurts Jackson State, because it's impossible to prepare for all of that in that short amount of time. If we talking about the opening week of the season, okay, everybody's at the same advantage. But you gotta really find the strengths and weaknesses of 3 signal callers and figure out which one is gonna play, or if they're all gonna play. And if they do, now what?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's a big difference from shifting your defensive lineups to your left, or well, to your right, because T-Set's left-handed, to now, hey, you was on the right, you go to the left now because we got a right-handed quarterback. Is bound to have people missing assignments and missing that, and then next thing you know, you got a running back that busts you up the middle because you worried about which quarterback is playing and what they're gonna throw, when hey, we run the ball too, right?
Yeah.
So it really creates a big disadvantage for Jackson, and as hype as they probably gonna play like they are, we are still on that sugar rush from the classic, and gonna just build on that till through Saturday, whereas they gotta work the turkey off, like Coach Rich used to say, and get back in that mindset because they're kids.
Yeah.
They are
Nah.
kids. They got other stuff to think about.
Right.
And they think about it. And so to have a lull for what, 2 weeks, I think they've been off?
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Think about that. 2 weeks. We come into fall camp and have like 2 or 3 weeks to prepare for the season and still don't be prepared. And they off for 2 weeks, and you got to say, look, let's figure this out in 2 weeks and do whatever we got to do for Southern. And I
Exactly.
don't think they'll be ready. So if the kids just execute and stay within themselves, I think it'll be a totally different outcome because I mean I didn't think Jackson was all that to begin with. Um, and that's partially because of rivalry, but partially true too. um, but everybody, hopefully, I hadn't checked today. Everybody's still healthy right now
Yeah, the only person right now is going to be out. It'll be Herman Brister
I remember
third. Yeah,
targeting.
he'll miss the first half
for the first
for the target.
half.
Yeah, for the
Yep.
targeting. So that
And you
right
know
now.
it's crazy. I was griping. The first thing I griped about was being old, but I remember when that kid was born.
Yes.
Okay, you keep talking about being old, but you keep bringing up these stories that's putting it out
I know,
yes.
and that's why I
Yeah.
keep looking like I guess I just got accepted at this point in time and
there.
not run from it. But I remember when that kid was born because his dad was grad assistant to on the team when I was there, and he was assigned to Coach Orlando. And so Bristol used to always get on, man. I'm like, come on, Bristol, man. Like, and and so now to see his kid out there flourishing is like a proud uncle, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a proud uncle, and I think that kid is just is his trajectory is going to be real good, and sooner or later, with all those kids, once they get better, we're gonna have to do a better job of making sure the other schools don't poach our talent
Yeah.
with all these transfer rules. And that's
Yes.
a bigger problem that we may have with the big schools using HBCUs and other schools of that same caliber as their form system now.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a discussion we're
Oh
gonna have to
yeah,
get into. Yeah, because that was even discussed in front of the board of supervisors at the Bayou Classic meeting. So that's a discussion we're gonna have to have. Hey Quincy, man, we appreciate you joining
no,
us, man. We're gonna have to have you back, man.
For
oh no,
sure.
I
Chop it
appreciate
up
you
some more,
guys,
man.
man. I appreciate you guys because as an athlete, um, when you finish, the light turns off, and it's an adjustment. But
Yes.
then the beauty of it is when you get on shows like this, because of my adult responsibilities, I don't think about football. And when I play too much, but when I get here, it's like and do these shows, it's like blocks out the world and allows you to relive moments that as father, husband, all that you can't you don't think
Yeah.
about. But
Yeah.
when you get
Exactly.
here, like for the next till I go to bed at 9:30. Well, at 9:44.
It's another story.
My phone on 9:44 is gonna give me the signal. Hey, you still up? It gives you like for the rest of the day to relive a lot of those memories that people saw, didn't see, and just relationships. And because things move fast these days, a lot of people that you guys name, I have this thing now that if when you pop up in my head, I call you.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
call you because I don't want to hear a text saying I'm good. No, no, no. I need to hear your voice to see you, hear you good.
Yeah.
That way I can know you're really good. So right now, as soon as my phone charges back up, I'm really about to call a bunch of people just to make sure they're good. And I ask everybody who watching the show to do the same because, um, like I said, I'm getting old, and the last thing I want to do is
Yeah.
say I couldn't talk to him. I wish I would have did that. So I started that now, and so if anything, with the Jaguar family on right now, continue that family aspect. And if you no double A number. If you know Chris Davis number, anybody line out line Joseph, call him. Just and you don't even have to want nothing, and let them have that same feeling I had today because it's a feeling that nobody can recreate. You know.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
definitely appreciate you, ladies
Appreciate you,
and
Quincy.
gentlemen, the legendary Quincy
Yeah.
Richard.
Look, just go ahead on cut a spade and say the old Quincy Richard. You know, like the
Nah,
semantic,
it's
the
what you do.
semantics,
It's
bro.
what you do in those years that make you legendary. It ain't the
Man,
age.
that's
It
something
ain't
us
the
old.
age, for sure.
That's something us old people say, man. Like 40 is the new 30. No, it's not. Every morning I get up, I feel 43.
All
But
right,
nah,
man.
thank y'all, man. I
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it. To everybody who listening, good luck, safe travels, and from one Jaguar to the rest of the Jaguar family, love.
Go
Okay.
Jags. All right. Thank you, Quincy.
Go Jags,
Have a good
boss.
one.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes,
indeed.
one
Yes,
of our
indeed.
legends,
Good thing.
our legends, man. Watching Quincy play football was one of the most exciting times and eras of our day. So, Coach, he left us with some words and some parting ways and expectations. So, I would love to hear from you. I mean, we're already at an hour, but we'd
Yes.
love to hear from you as it relates to your predictions about this weekend and where we're coming to face.
What I'm hopeful for is that the Jaguars put it all together. All the things that we've been seeing, the little bits and pieces of good things that they've been finding. I think Jalen is the right guy to lead us, and I'm hopeful that we put it together. I'm gonna go with my heart, with my
Thank
head
you.
instead of my heart. I'm going with my head instead of my heart to say this, and you're gonna catch what it is. I'm going with my head instead of my heart. I'm going with Jackson State, but my heart says Southern.
But Unc, I would cuss actually because it's championship, it's hate week, boombox part two. But every time you went with your head, we won. So your heart has been taken over. But no, I'm expecting a great game. I'm expecting a different game. Jaguar Nation, if you're coming out, I mean, you need to come out. The guys need our support. I think it's going to be one of the epic boom boxes, and I'm always going with my heart, and I believe that we are going to pull it off, and we will be coming to you live at some point from Atlanta next week for our first Celebration Bowl appearance. I'm really looking forward to a great game. Like Quincy said, I think it comes down to us being able to execute. I think about that first game, we had some pivotal plays that could have changed the entire trajectory of the game that we didn't execute on. I'm thinking about a pick six in the first drive that we dropped,
Yes, we
literally
dropped.
dropped. Just silly penalties and mistakes that could have ended drives. So it's going to be all about execution, and I think that the players are locked in, and I don't think it's going to be and this is not the Bayou Classic to the Jaguar Nation. So you're not coming out there to sit and be cute. Like we literally need to make ourselves and our presence felt. Game day color, Columbia blue. Come early, come loud. Games at 1:00. It's going to
Dress
be
warm,
cold.
bring
It's
your
going
that's
to
right,
be
dress
cold.
warm. Maybe bring your rain gear just in case. All
Yes.
of that good stuff. Have your rain gear, make sure you dress warm, come in your Columbia blue, be ready to do whatever it takes to get the victory. Just you know how it is. It's
Yeah.
Jackson.
It's
It's
Jackson.
Jackson. It's
I
not
mean,
new.
it's a different Jaguar Nation when we playing against a Jackson versus a Bayou Classic Jackson. It's the bougie crowd. It's that. But I like the Mississippi when we play the Mississippi teams, Jaguar Nation. So it's gonna be epic. ESPN2, if you can't make it, 1:00 kickoff. I will see you in Jackson for sure. And to everybody else, I mean, we will. I guess we'll end the show early. Early, late-ish tonight. We do need to shout
Yes.
out our sponsors. So we can give a quick gig to our sponsors. Shout out to our new sponsors for this week.
Shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to all of our new sponsors, our Playbook, Patreons, all the people who come on and helped us out. You can whenever you want to join and you can help us out. You can go to
our links, our website,
yes, website,
YouTube,
all of that.
all the good stuff.
That's right. And shout out to our people at Salt Entertainment and my man Apostle Marty White on our Bayou Classic recap. They were helping do some stuff with the Bayou Classic. So shout out to him, his amazing project. He and Kirk Franklin, he along with Kirk Franklin, he's working with them. Y'all check it out. It's called Amazing. It's going to launch on the 1st of January. You can go check out the video on YouTube's Apostle Marty and White featuring Anthony Hamilton. So check that out.
And I would say you saw the clip earlier from my most epic moment. My favorite rapper in the entire world of all of my life has been Lil Boosie. So to see him perform with the jukebox was the most amazing experience for me at the Bayou Classic. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate the support. We will hopefully be coming to you on Monday with like confetti coming out the sky.
Yes.
To celebrate Jaguar Championship. But take us out of here.
If the man upstairs says the same, we'll be back at the same time in the same place. Because as always, it's FTP, and we'll keep you inside the game.
Go, Jack.